What's going on, everybody, and welcome into episode 216 of the Garage Beers podcast. Joey's over there trying to make some sounds, trying to make some noises, but muting himself. Just muting himself. That's how we start the damn show.
I'll just have to drink it.
Oh, that was nice. That was you know what that was?
Good. That's how the first one sounded too.
You know what that was, though? It was girthy, Joe. That was a girthy pop. That was a girthy pop. Welcome into episode 216, a special episode here of the Garage Beers podcast because it's episode 216 here in Cleveland for the Garage Beers podcast. And we got a great show coming up for you tonight. We've got a great special guest. We got all kinds of good topics. We got a draft we're going to get to later in the show. It's going to be a jam-packed 90 minutes of the Garage Beers podcast, and we are glad that you are here joining us on the OBR streaming network. If you're joining us here live tonight, whether you are watching us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or Twitch or whatever, welcome in. We're glad you're here. We hope you're ready to talk about all of your favorite Cleveland and Ohio sports because, like I said, we got some big-time topics coming up. We got a great special guest coming up, and we're so excited to get to all that. Again, we are hosted here on the OBR streaming network. The Orange and Brown Report is Cleveland's best place for Cleveland Browns coverage. And then you get to hang out with us and talk about the Browns, the Cavs, the Guardians, the Monsters, the freaking Monsters, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Buckeyes, and then sports from all over the country. So make sure you're tuned in to the OBR at theobr.com for all the best Browns coverage. Make sure you're following the socials at the OBR. And make sure, again, with mini camp underway and all that, the OBR's in its heyday right now. So you want to be tuned in to everything the OBR's got going on. Also, go follow our show at The Garage Beers on all the socials, whether it's Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or whatever. I know Chad, who is just jumping in here right now. I want to wait till I see his face before I pull him in. But Chad has got like a million ideas going with the socials right now. He's going to be doing a lot more lives, a lot more stuff like that. So make sure you are tuned in to the Garage Beers on the socials. And without further ado, with you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Find me online at Garage Beers. Mike, joining us. I'm going to give him a minute. I'm going to start with you down there in Nashville, Tennessee. Find him online at Garage Beers. Joe, and back for the first time in a few weeks because of all the traveling and all that stuff he's got going on. It's Joey Whalen. What's up, Joe?
Hey, where the hell have you been?
I've been here.
Where the hell have I been? I don't know.
No
commitment. No commitment.
Actually,
no, I did.
Speaking of commitment, though, Joe's been doing all of our production stuff from all over the place. So even though he couldn't be on the show, he's still getting us out there. So shout out to you, Joe.
That's true. I did have a good excuse. I was at Zach Bryan last night in LA as I was there for work.
Did you say last night?
Yeah, whenever it was, last Tuesday. They all blend together, all the days. They all end in Y. And they have a couple other letters that kind of cross over between the different days.
F you.
That was last Tuesday. Yeah, F and you for sure. Anyways, yeah, I thought it was a good reason to miss the show. I mean, I miss you guys. I almost checked in, but we were at a bar before the show, and it took forever to get the drinks. And I was hoping to pop on with this like incredible like rum drink, and we waited about 20 minutes, and then they told me that they were out of like the rum or something like that. The rum was gone. So I had another. It was a whole mess, and then I got panicked, and I was like, they're probably already done anyways. So good to be back, boys. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. It's good to have you back. And now he's made it. He's here. He's in the clear over on the east side of Cleveland, hanging out on the porch tonight. It's our buddy Chad Meyer at Garage Beers. Chad, what's up, Chad?
Yeah, I was at a concert myself just now. Surprise Garth Brooks show down over there at the Civic Center in Menor.
Oh,
yeah.
When you said just now? What do you mean just now?
Yeah, surprise over at the Menor Civic Center. Garth Brooks. Yeah, 8,000 people packing the Civic Center lawn. At the Civic Center amphitheater.
Garth show, like
what the hell do you mean just now?
Yeah, no, it happened tonight. Surprise show. Garth Brooks, Menor Civic Center. Swear to God.
I'm not buying this. It was Barth Brooks. It was
Garth Brooks. I promise you, it was the best Garth Brooks tribute band you've ever seen, called Fresh Horses, over at the Civic Center. Yeah. So
you know who opened up for him? Bo Bice, his brother, Eric.
Yeah,
Bice.
No, but it's a great summer concert series every summer. They do have 3 national acts that usually come in, and it's always the like alternative band you loved that 1 or 2 songs from them, like Finger 11 is coming in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I remember Finger 11 from that one time they did a thing.
Yeah, right. And then a bigger artist is coming soon. Leanne Rimes is coming like at the end of July, and she had that one huge song.
This all sounds like music I don't want to listen to be honest. This sounds like I'm out.
It's all at the Civic Center. At the Civic Center. There's some good tribute bands though too. Like there's like a Bruno Mars tribute band that's really good, and a Van Halen one. The Queen was there earlier. It's good. It's good stuff, boys.
The Queen of England was there.
Yes, correct.
Dude, first of all, boys, it's good to just have us all back for the first time in a few weeks. Again, Joey and I 2 weeks ago were out in Seattle, and then we missed Joe last week. It's good to have the 3 of us back. And like I said, we have got a jam-packed show. Later on in the show, we got Brown's minicamp going on, and there's a little drama happening with Brown's minicamp, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. We've got the Guardians still red hot. They're winning right now in Cincinnati. We got the Stanley Cup playoffs, the finals going on. We got the NBA finals going on. We got a little draft we're going to get to. There's a lot that we have got to pack in to this 90-minute show, but we're going to kick things off, and we're going to bring him in right now with our special guest. I'm so excited for this. And boys, I don't know, man. This guy's becoming a legend. This guy's becoming what he's becoming is a Twitter legend, in that the highlight clips of this dude calling hockey games are right up there, man. And if you missed it last night, the Cleveland Monsters in the Calder Cup playoffs, in the semifinals.
Yeah,
they went down,
finals, baby.
They went down 3-0 to Hershey. And Chad, you kind of made it sound, when you kind of previewed this series, you made it sound like, Hershey's just kind of a better team, and we'll see what the Monsters can do. And the Monsters, man, have fought back. And if you miss this guy's calls from last night, when the Monsters gave up, they lost. It looked like they lost the game with less than a minute to go. They tied the game with 30 seconds to go, and they get an overtime winner last night. Our special guest tonight was on the call for that game. He is the radio host, or the radio voice, of the Cleveland Monsters, and we're so excited to bring him in because right now, I don't know that there's a better story in all of Cleveland right now than the Cleveland Monsters, and we're going to talk about it with him. It's Tony Brown. Tony, welcome on into the Garage Beers podcast.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here, and man, you nailed it. I mean, what the Monsters are doing right now is something special, so I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys.
And right now, Tony, going into this series, I mean, I know you have to be you can't be as neutral, but like going into this series, it's just everything that the Monsters did in the regular season against Hershey, everything Hershey did in the regular season, returning, defending Calder Cup champions, you knew this was going to be a fight for the Monsters.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, Hershey put together one of the most insane regular seasons in the history of the league. And this is a league that's been around 88 years or something like that. 111 regular season points, 53 wins. Not once throughout the course of the entire season did they drop back-to-back games in regulation. I mean, just think of that. That is insane. And so the Monsters have dealt them in this series, sort of a hand that they haven't seen before, which is not just consecutive wins, but now 3 straight wins. And we all know Hershey's history. And of course, they are very proud of all that they've accomplished, as they should be over the course of 12 Calder Cups. But, the Monsters, this group is really special, you guys. I mean, they have gone through a ton of adversity. That's one thing Hershey hasn't had a lot of this year, is any adversity. The Monsters had a bunch. You referenced that the season series was pretty soundly in Hershey's column. Well, first couple of games of that season series were right at the start of the year. And in the American League, no one knows what team they have at the start of the year. And the teams change so drastically much, even from month to month sometimes. And then they saw them again at the end of the year when, as you guys remember, the Blue Jackets had called up like a dozen players and all of the top players. And the Monsters were essentially trotting out like an ECHL all-star team at that point. So that didn't go particularly well for Cleveland, but you throw that all out and it really has worked for the Monsters in this series because it's a very confident team, and it's a team that's got almost all of their big guys back now. And, it's a team that did amazing things this year, battled to win a division title for the first time in the history of the franchise. And they did so on the final day of the regular season. Jet Greaves in net with that win, and that final day in Toronto set the new franchise wins record. Trey Fix-Wolansky set all the offensive records that exist in the club's history this year with goals, assists, points, power play goals, game-winning goals. So, I mean, in a way, a team that had an outstanding season sort of flew under the radar a little bit, I think, when you look at them compared to Hershey. So, it's just been so much fun. I mean, calling games, this is somewhere around 900 some games in my career that I've done. And I can tell you, Game 6 has got to be right there, with all due respect to what happened 8 years ago today, I might add, with the Calder Cup Championship, Game 4 in 2016. Of course, that is, so special. But this was right there. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I'll throw one more thing at you here. The Monsters, I don't know why this would be surprising to Hershey, that the Monsters would be so competitive this late in the series, because the first 2 games of the series could easily have gone for Cleveland. In Hershey, I mean, they did this same exact thing. Hershey had a lead late. David Jiricek tied both Game 1 and Game 2 right at the end of regulation. I think the first one was 20 seconds left, and the second one was a minute and a half left, and now they've done it again. So if you're Hershey, think of that. 3 times you've had a late lead in regulation, and they got away with it in the first 2 games of the series, winning in overtime. But the Monsters, I mean, that was what I said when they scored the tying goal. You can't kill this team. They just have this belief that no matter what is going on, what the situation is, they're going to find a way to win the game. They believe it. They all believe it, and that's rare. And so I just think the sky's the limit, and I'm having the time of my life.
Well, and Hershey
Tony, wait. Jesus Christ, Chad. Chad's excited. Listen, what the Monsters are doing to have us all pumped up. They won that game last night, and we all start texting each other. And Chad and I were like, we got to get Tony Brown on the show. We got to get him on the show. We got to talk about
I'm an easy booking, guys. I'm always available. But we got to get this. We got to get this voice, this incredible voice of the Monsters on to talk about this. But we've got a show here, Chad. You got to settle down, Chad. Chad's excited to talk when he just skips the whole premise of our show. Our show's called Garage Beers.
I was just about to say, and Hershey's been undefeated in the postseason in overtime the last
Chad, shut the hell up for a minute. We will get to
it. At home, they had never lost a game in the
and at home. Sorry.
We're going to get to it. We've got a premise here.
Another thing, Mike. And another thing. No,
we're not talking sports. We're called the Garage Beers Podcast. We're not talking sports before we crack these beers open. So, Tony, we invited you to come in to our Garage Beers of the Week segment. So hopefully you found a good beer out there. Hershey's home of a couple good breweries out there. So This is our Garage Beer of the Week segment. Drew in Brick City is already kicking us off. He said, I don't know why that went away. He said he's drinking a Dayton area Raftwing Brewery. Mixed 12-pack. Are you doing that all tonight, Drew?
Good for you, buddy.
Hey, yeah, good for you. Happy Tuesday, buddy. Happy Tuesday. So this is where we just go around and share our beers. You guys get in the comments like Drew and let us know what you're drinking. But Tony, we always let our special guest go first. What beer did you find out there in Hershey?
Well, Game 7 is going to be televised on WUAB back in Cleveland. So the TV crew and all the great folks that hopped in the car today to come to make it happen, we all went out and got dinner tonight at the Iron Hill Brewery in downtown Hershey. It's kind of a nice night, kind of a summery evening, some warm temperatures. So I went with the Lemon Cerveza Mexican-style lager. So we've got here a burst of fresh squeezed lemon and lemon peel, a crisp, clean Mexican-style lager. Channels the very best of outdoor drinking season. So you can drink it anywhere, you can enjoy it. And the fine folks at Iron Hill Brewery hooked me up. So let's see what this is all about.
I think somebody at Iron Hill Brewery should be sending you some checks for that.
Yeah, right? What a promo.
That's a good pop, too, by the way. That was a great pop.
Guys, yeah. I just read the label. That's all I did. Yeah, that'll work fine. Nice.
That'll do.
Look at Deanna over on Twitter or X or whatever we're going to call it says, good choice. Approves of your choice.
Thank you very much, Dina. Dina's one of the great folks who covers the Monsters throughout the year and does an amazing job. And so we saw her earlier in the series in Hershey. So, Dina, we'll see you for Game 7, we hope.
And sorry, Dina, I'm bad at reading. All right, so you've got the beer over there from Hershey. Let's send it down. Let's send it down to Nashville. Joey, what are you drinking?
This is like a 4-peat. I'm running out of beers in the fridge that are like different from episode 1 to episode 216. And I also didn't plan this, but I got the Black Abbey Rose again. Look at my shirt.
Hey,
perfect.
What?
It's perfect. It just goes together.
Is that a Black Abbey Rose shirt?
It's the best Belgian blonde ale that has ever existed in the world, and it's I think my favorite beer. I think I'm gonna do it.
Good.
Okay. Not an IPA. Not an IPA. It's my favorite beer.
It's Revelations. We've been having those.
Yeah.
We've been having those on the show lately. Just those revelations of like, I think this is my favorite. There it is.
I didn't want to admit it. Oh, you did the same thing. I see. Yeah. I get it now though.
All right. Hey, welcome to the show. All right. Over to the mine was that I love the Cavs, I think, more than anything else. So that was my thing. Chad, what's your beer?
Well, boys, I would like to introduce my drink tonight via song, if I could, if you'll bear with me for a minute.
Hopefully a Garth Brooks cover, maybe some Chris Gaines, maybe. Do you have any Chris Gaines tunes?
A little Garth Brooks.
Luckily, I don't need royalties on fresh horses. So
Oh yeah.
Laid back.
Oh, buddy. This is Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg collabing on some gin and juice, fellas. I saw this in the store, and I said, "Yeah, I have to try that." This looks like a CD cover from my youth. So I'm going with it.
Nice touch with the parental advisory there. I like it.
Yeah, right. And so I already took a sip, and it's a tasty beverage.
Is it real gin?
What's that?
Is it real gin?
Real gin. No, it's fake gin. What?
Why would it be real
gin, Joey? Why would it be real gin? Like, am I drinking synthetic gin? Now you got me all messed up here. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, we are in the era of artificial intelligence, guys.
That's true. That's true. But no, this is delicious. If you ever see this in the store, I highly recommend it. If you don't feel like anything heavy, like it's supposed to be like 160 degrees the rest of the week in Ohio, and this is going to be the perfect drink. So I highly recommend it.
I like this. Over on Twitter, Oogie Rule says, "I'm drinking the Monsters Kool-Aid."
Let's go.
And also
impressed
with Tony.
Nice.
Impressed that Tony, you still have your voice. Impressed with that.
You know, it's we give it all we got, you know, and it's still there for Game 7. So you got to leave a little in the tank.
Yeah. Well, you better leave some after that. Anyways, boys, I'm up in one of my favorite spots again. I'm up in Massachusetts. I'm in Springfield right now. I'm literally right out my window right here is the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Home of the American Hockey League offices as well.
Correct.
So
Correct.
nice.
So I'm going to go, if the Monsters lose, I'm going to go file an official protest at the offices tomorrow.
Home of where the Monsters relocated from.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Technically, the affiliation transfer.
Well, the affiliation. Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, where do you think I went? I went to my favorite brewery of all time. First place I went when I got off the airplane. This is Treehouse Brewery. And I've got the Hurricane. And it's just yet another in a long line of delicious hazy IPAs out of Treehouse. And every single beer they make is perfect. There has never been a bad thing they've ever done. And I'm just going to sit and enjoy this in my hotel glass all night.
Very nice.
Looks like unfiltered apple cider.
Yep. And tastes like delicious beer. Tastes like delicious beer. Those are our garage beers of the week. Again, be in the comments. Let us know what you guys are drinking tonight. But now it's time for us to really get into the nuts and bolts here of episode 216 on the Garage Beers podcast. Again, joined by Tony Brown, the radio voice of the Cleveland Monsters. And Tony, you made a comment earlier. I want to start with this, and we can get back to your comments with Chad and all that. But I want to start with this. You made a comment when we posted on Twitter that you were coming on with us earlier today, which, again, thank you for doing this short notice. You made a comment on Twitter. You retweeted and you said, I'm looking forward to coming on and talking about the closest team that I've ever been around, that I've ever called games for. Talk about that, man, because obviously we're seeing it in the fight. We're seeing it in the comeback. But you've been around this team all season. You've talked to the guys. You've gotten to know the guys. What is it about this team that makes you say this is the closest group of guys I've ever seen?
Well, right off the bat, I'll say it starts with their head coach. And Trent Vogelhuber is a guy that, if you recall, was right in the middle of that Calder Cup team 8 years ago. He was the fourth line center. And if you remember, the coach of that team was Jared Bednar. He's had just a wee bit of success at the NHL level since he went up to the Colorado Avalanche there. So, Vogues, very similarly to Bedsy, just was a guy that the entire team gravitated around and is drawn to. And he has a way, as a younger guy who was playing not too many years ago, of connecting and relating to these guys that really set a positive sort of team first tone right out of the gate in training camp. And I think, another big factor here is that a big chunk of the core of this team has been in Cleveland and been together now for multiple seasons, in some cases 3 or 4 seasons. Guys like Jay Christensen and, of course, was the big hero last night in his return from injury, Trey Fix-Wolansky, the list goes on. There's a lot of guys that have been here. But the point is, in the American Hockey League, it's like a wheel that turns, you know what I mean? And sometimes you're at the bottom and it can be a little tough when the prospect, the cupboards are bare a little bit there. And then it always swings back around pretty much for every organization. And the Monsters just are hitting one of those sweet spots where they have a bunch of really good players who are really familiar with one another, who have come to be like really close, tight friends. And, the team is just sort of really just gotten closer and closer and closer and closer as the years gone on. And I just think that doesn't always happen in the American League. There's a lot of variables. Guys get called up, guys get hurt, guys get traded. Things happen. And your team can change a whole heck of a lot throughout the course of a year in a way that an NHL roster doesn't really experience the same sort of fluctuation throughout the year typically. And so all these things have sort of coalesced. And I'm going to send one more, big shout out for this sort of principle here to Jet Greaves, the goaltender of this team, because not only has he just been outstanding, he's an incredible story. He's taken an opportunity in Cleveland and turned it into an NHL future. There's no two ways about it. But the team loves him. He's another one of those sort of gravitational forces in this dressing room. He's picked up this team so many times over the last couple of years and won games, and the Monsters have picked him up too so many times. And just you put all that stuff together. The timing has been right. The coaching's been outstanding. And, I think the rest of the coaching staff too. Mark Letestu, I mean, a guy who's had a tremendous career in the National Hockey League. Mike Havland as the associate coach coming in this year. He won a Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks once upon a time. And as, sort of is that experienced voice in the room to balance out the relative youth of a guy like Vogues and Brad Thiessen and, list goes on. It's just a group that has gotten tighter and tighter as the season is going on, and their success is directly tied to that this time of year, in my opinion.
Now, I got 2 follow-up questions to that. Now, first one, you mentioned, I mean, this team came out at the beginning of the season with their hair on fire. I mean, they built a huge lead within the division, and then they get decimated, like by no fault of their own. That's just because the Blue Jackets decided to get hurt, like all of them. So
life in the American League, Jed.
It is. It's life in the American League, and that's. I mean, I think that's a lot of. That's a whole different conversation, but I think a lot of diehard fans could stand to, realize that don't get used to these guys. But anyway,
right.
This team got decimated essentially, like you said, earlier, that they were basically an ECHL All-Star team. So you kind of just hope they treaded water through that part of the season, because you knew they were going to get their big guys back eventually. I was curious what that time period of the season was like. Was Trent holding things together? Who was in the locker room trying to keep it all together at that time?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got a ton to do with it. It was a challenging time. I mean, the Monsters lost 7 consecutive games, and there was sort of that temptation, if you wavered in your faith a little bit with this group, to worry that a great season and the potential of who knows what could be slightly slipping away there. But, that's, again, it's nothing new. And you ask the guys about it, and that's just how it goes in this league sometimes. And that's what makes the American Hockey League, to me, such an interesting thing, not just in the hockey industry, but in sports. I mean, it is such a tiny little, hole in the needle that these coaches are trying to thread here throughout the season. And they're dealing with all these variables that they have absolutely no control over whatsoever. So, it's just sort of sticking to your principles as a team. It's trying to reassure everybody that, hey, the reinforcements are coming, the cavalry's on its way. It's trying to do your best to go through those hard times and win the games you can, or steal a few here and there. And it's just part of life at this level. But that was a particularly drastic example of that. It was literally like the top 12 point producers on the team, and the goalie, and everybody was gone. So, I just give all the credit in the world to the coaching staff, to all the guys who came in. What's cool when that happens, though, is you get these players that are maybe at a lower level, like the ECHL, and what an opportunity this is. You're not just going to be able to go and play American League games. You're going to be on the power play. You're going to be called upon in all situations. You're going to get a taste of this next level of hockey. And, it's interesting, but when you're hoping that the team will continue their ascent here, it was a trying time, but they kept the faith. They really did. And, once everybody got back, it's sort of a drip, drip, drip of returning when, Columbus finally got healthy, and, nobody got negative. Nobody got down in the dumps about it. You just sort of, grab your lunch pail, you go to work, you make the best of a difficult situation. No one's going to feel sorry for you. That's for sure. Everybody in this league's dealing with something at some point. Yeah. And once they got everyone back, it just felt like it was full steam ahead, and just a real storybook end to the regular season. Like I said, on that last game in Toronto to win the division, Greaves gets the record. I think everybody knew at that point, okay, with all these guys together, with the team back to what it, should be, quote unquote, anything's possible. And right now we're seeing the fruits of that sort of commitment.
Well, you guys talked right before we were getting into the beers of the week, but what you were starting to talk about was that progression of, and maybe you can enlighten us a little bit more on what you're hearing from the coaches and the players after these games, right? Talk about this series. They go out, they lose 2 overtime games in Hershey, in games that most teams aren't winning in Hershey to begin with, and you definitely aren't winning overtime games in Hershey. They dropped the 2 overtime games in Hershey, which they really fought and clawed their way into those games. Tough losses. They come back to Cleveland and they drop that game 3 in Cleveland, and that is usually in any sport. When you come back to your home arena, after you've lost 2 on the road and you get punched in the mouth on your home ice, that's usually just signals that's the end of the series. It's hard to come back from that. Let's talk about the progression from there. They get the next game in Cleveland, and then they win back-to-back games. So it feels like they're just clearing hurdles at this point. Then they get back-to-back games, which is a hurdle against Hershey. Then they go last night and they win an overtime game against Hershey, which, again, Hershey hasn't lost in their last 9 overtime playoff games. It's just hurdle after hurdle. Talk about what you're hearing from these guys and how you hear the confidence of this team changing as this series is going on.
Well, so I'll do it in 2 parts. First thing is, yeah, they were down 3-0, but either one of those first 2 games could easily have gone to Cleveland.
Right.
So the intimidation factor of Hershey and all the lore and, walking into that place, that was gone pretty quick because they proved to themselves in game 1 they easily could have won that game, right? And then the same thing happens in game 2. And yeah, it's disappointing, but it's not a situation where you're hanging your head. They felt good about the way that they played. You go back for game 3. Okay. It's a 6-2 final. So from afar, I get it. You look at that and that stings. But here's the thing. The Monsters fought back from down 2-0 in that game to tie the game. And they had a little lapse, and it lasted about 3 minutes at the end of that second period. And that's when the Monsters learned a lesson about Hershey, which is you cannot waver against those guys because they have so many different players that will just take your mistakes and turn them into goals in the blink of an eye. And it's exactly what happened there. So it kind of worked for Cleveland a little bit in a way because it showed them what it's going to take to beat this team, right? But still, you're down 3-0. That's a devastating place to be. Now, the second part of the answer, this is what Trent does so well. He takes these guys and he gets them to look at the game in tiny little segments. Now, we've been really lucky throughout the playoffs that the very talented Jonathan DeMuth, who's one of the video producers for the Blue Jackets, who works on their Behind the Battle series, which you guys know is outstanding.
Former guest of the show. Good guy, friend of the show.
Great guy, and he's become a real part of the sort of team here as we've gone throughout the year, or throughout the playoff run here. He takes you into the dressing room, and we've seen these great little game recaps from all these pieces, and you hear what Trent's saying. This is stuff I don't even get to see because I'm upstairs when this is happening. But he talks about, when you're down, say, like 4 goals in a game, right? You can't score 4 goals at a time. You got to score 1 goal, and that can be your only focus. So you break the game down into little 6-minute segments, or you break it down to a shift-by-shift thing. And when you're doing that and you can pile up executing those tiny little segments over and over again, then suddenly a 3-0 series deficit isn't this insurmountable Mount Everest. It's just a series of little accomplishments. And so that's what he's been able to get this team to really latch onto. That concept of each period is about getting out of it tied or better. Great. That's a goal right there. But each period itself is broken into, we got 6 minutes before the first TV timeout. We got 6 minutes, between the first and second TV timeout. And so that's something that a player can sort of conceptualize. And that's something that these guys can manage. Because if you look at the big picture and you zoom way out and you're 3-0 and it's Hershey, a lot of teams would roll over. But this team is not that kind of team. This team is, okay, well, let's just go ahead and get the next shift out of the way. Okay. And then let's do it again. And, that's why you can give up a goal in a potentially season ending situation there in game 6 in the final minute. How many teams would really believe? How many teams would believe that you could actually go out, win the faceoff, get Greaves out of the net, go to the offensive zone, execute the play and score? This team literally believes that they can do that. And they're proving that they can. And think how devastating that is on the other side when you're Hershey, to see a team that just refuses to quit and refuses to lay down the way that I would imagine a juggernaut team like Hershey saw a bunch of teams throughout the regular season that didn't have that kind of grit, maybe is a good word for it. And the Monsters, they're not like those teams.
That's where this team, I was talking to somebody at work today. That's where this team reminds me of the 2016 team, right? There was at no point in any game in that 2016 season did I ever think that the Monsters were going to lose or couldn't come back and couldn't score a big goal, couldn't get a big save. I mean, Jet reminds me of Anton. Anton was as locked in as any goalie on any level that I've ever seen in any playoff series. And Jet is pretty much has been the same way outside of game 3 that was 6-2 with a little lapse. There was just so much similarities, but I love that strategy that Trent looks at, especially when a young team is down 3-0 in a series. You just kind of got to take the little moments, one moment at a time, one game at a time. I love that strategy.
Totally. Those teams have a lot of similarities. I think about that a lot these days, because you're having some of these memories come back with these big dramatic overtime playoff moments and stuff like that. but they're very different teams too, because if you think back to 2016, they were in like 5th place midway through the season, and they were really struggling to scrap and make the playoffs.
Right.
And if you want to give credit to making the playoffs and going on that run, you might look all the way back to January, I think it was, or maybe February, when both Forsberg and Korpisalo got called up.
Right.
And it was my current color analyst, Brad Thiessen, the goaltending coach for the Monsters now, who became the goaltender of the month. I think it was January. It could have been February of that year.
Yeah.
He put together a great month. He saved the season. He bought the team time for those guys to come back. And so he is sort of a real unsung hero of that year. I don't mean to get off track, but I'm going to throw one more Brad Thiessen thing out at you.
Sure.
Only 3 times in the history of the league has a team come back from down 3-0. The most recent team to do it, 2013, Wilkes-Barre came back on the Providence Bruins. And there's a young, precocious netminder who came in early in that series after a tough start for the Baby Pens there and won it for him. And it's Brickwall Brad himself. So it's kind of – think what that says to the team when they can look in their dressing room and look over at their goaltending coach, and he can tell you it can be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's
I mean, there are similarities with those teams, though, for sure. A team that rallies around their coach, a team that plays for one another, and a team that has this sense of, I don't care what the conditions are. We're going to do our part. We're going to do our jobs. And as long as you do that, you won't feel cheated at the end of the game. And so I do see those common threads between those two teams.
Now, does the messaging to the team change at all going into Game 7? I mean, you've broken down the past 3 games by bit. Is it business as usual for how they performed the last 3 games, you think?
I think the biggest thing is you don't change a darn thing. Things are working right now for you. You just keep doing exactly the same things that have brought you to this precipice of league history. And that is, just keep rolling. Just keep rolling. And let's remember, too, Monsters weren't supposed to win this series, right? I mean, come on. Like, there is no pressure on the Cleveland Monsters right now. They're already, there's a lot at stake. Sure. There's all the hard work that goes into a long season, and there's all the sacrifice, and you don't want to ever see it end. And so that's real. But the pressure rests on the, 1927 New York Yankees over on the other side who, have this incredible season, which just all the credit in the world to those guys. I mean, it's just like unbelievable as this season was going on, watching what they were doing. But you know what? None of that matters when you get to the playoffs. And so, I just thought, the last thing you'd want to do is tinker with anything. And, sometimes things happen and guys, we don't talk about it in this league because there's no injury report, but sometimes guys are unable to play or, sometimes you got to maybe make a lineup change here or there. But, at the end of the day, you got to stick to what got you there. And Monsters don't need to change a thing. Now, on the other side for Hershey, they might be feeling like they might need to make an adjustment or two here. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm just saying for the Monsters, you got to keep this locomotive on the track, baby.
Just a 12,000-pound weight on top of Hershey right now.
It's a reality.
Hershey.
It's a reality of it.
Yeah.
That's what comes with being a historically great team. You're expected to win. And they're really, as the defending champions in the league, they have no option but to win a championship or feel like they didn't do their thing this year. And the Monsters have an ability to maybe play just a little bit more freely and to sort of, just embrace the moment, see what happens and let the chips fall. And like I said, whenever this season comes to an end, whether it's in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, or whether it's tomorrow night, they can know that nobody cheated them out of their chance.
Absolutely.
All I can think of, and this is a different sport, but it was the same year the Monsters won that title, the Cavs happened to win the title. And all I can see in my head, and it's been running through my brain thinking about this Monsters Game 7 because holy shit, what a situation they have found themselves in. To me, it feels like that Cavs Warriors series a little bit, doesn't it? You've got the historically good team that came out and kind of kick you in the butt the beginning of that series. And I can see LeBron James after Game 6 in the locker room, and I'm hoping somebody's doing this for the Monsters. I can see him in the locker room looking at his teammates saying, they're effed up. He's talking about the Warriors. They're mentally effed up. They're physically effed up. Like, we got this. We just got to go play our game, and we got this. And there's a little bit of that vibe going on right now with the Monsters. They got to come out. Remember how hard it was for the Cavs to win that Game 7 against the Warriors. It's going to be hard for the Monsters to win a Game 7 in Hershey against the Bears for 4 wins in a row. But, man, they've got to have that kind of that killer mentality like that Cavs team had.
Well, I will say, you nailed it. I mean, the hardest game to win in any playoff series is that 4th game. And there's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter who you're playing or who you are. It is hard to close out a team that looks like they're right on the brink, right? But here's what's different now in this series, in this 7th game. For the first time, Hershey faces an elimination game. They have not been in that situation for an exceedingly long period of time. And the Monsters, meanwhile, they have been living on the edge for quite a while now. And they have been, right on the cusp. And I'm talking with seconds remaining between them and the end of their season. And so, in a way, at least to my eye, they look comfortable in that situation. You know what I mean? They look like that's something that pushes them along, not something that holds them back. So I'm very interested to see. I have no idea what it's going to look like. And I just want to make this clear. Like, this series is anybody could win this 7th game. There's so many like X factors going into this 7th game that haven't been present. Hershey in an elimination setting. The Monsters, trying to close out a series. There are just a lot of things we don't know about. Todd Nelson, the head coach of the Bears, in his post game after Game 6, had some, pointed maybe criticism, whatever, for his own goaltender, Hunter Shepard. I never would have thought in a million years that you could even potentially see any sort of goaltending change for Hershey. I mean, Shepard won the Baz Bastion Award. That's like the Vezina in the American League. But now I'm kind of interested to see what happens there. And, so you throw it all out, just like you throw everything out at the end of the regular season. You throw all the series out when you get to Game 7. So it's who can just execute and who can catch a bounce here or there and who can generate some positive karma. And that's what we will find out tomorrow. And that's why days like tomorrow are the days that, I've been doing this for 13 years. Those are the days that you dream about, that when they arrive, you just hope you can ride that wave, because there's nothing more special than 2 teams with no tomorrow, and you see who's going to blink, who's going to flinch. It's the best.
Tony, you've spent so much time with us, and we thank you so much. I just got a couple more for you.
Hey, heck yeah. It's good to see you again, by the way, Chad. Been a little while, man. You see you around the rink now and again.
I know. Good to see you, too.
It's good to see you, Chad.
No, he didn't air quote anything, Mike. There was no air quote there.
I heard him.
I know hockey.
I hope I didn't inadvertently air quote.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, hockey's the ultimate team game, but I want to highlight a couple of players right now, because Josh Dunn, like it seems like anytime this team needs a big goal in a big moment, it's the names but you don't expect to have. Josh Dunn, Alex Whalen, they always seem to come up with a big. Talk about the playoffs that those 2 guys are having.
Chad, thank you for asking that question. We would be remiss talking about this playoff run if we didn't talk about now I will use the air quotes, 4th line of the Monsters, because they are not. I mean, Trent says it. He goes, 4th line on the depth chart. That's our first line. I did the math going into Game 6, so I haven't done it for Game 7 quite yet. But they're responsible. This is going to blow your mind. For those 3 guys, Justin Pearson, Alex Whalen, and Josh Dunn, 37% of the team's goals in the playoffs have come from those 3 guys. And 30% of the team's points in the playoffs have gone to those 3 guys. I mean, to me, that blows my mind.
Wow.
Dunner is he's a huge leader on this team. He last season scored 20 goals in the league and had an outstanding year, and this season was injured for the vast majority of the season, but he's come back ready for the playoffs, and he is just possessed right now. Alex Whalen is another outstanding story. He started the season lighting it up with Atlanta in the ECHL. The Monsters had him on a PTO last season, and so brought him back when they had a need. He turned that opportunity into an American League contract, and he hasn't looked back. I think he's got points in 8 straight playoff games right now. That's the longest point streak in the Calder Cup playoffs this year. On the other side, you have Justin Pearson, a young guy who started at Yale, finished at UConn. He's played through this rookie season and built as the years gone along, and another guy on an American League deal. Those 3 guys have been sort of those heart and soul, blood and guts type playoff players. And it's one of my favorite things about any playoff year is watching the heroes kind of emerge out of the ether, right? Like who's it going to be? Because it's not always who you think it's going to be. Well, that fourth line has been the standard bearers for this team throughout the postseason. They've been a joy to watch. They deserve all the credit in the world. And, it's really fun for me to watch three guys played ECAC hockey in college who, you look on paper and they're on the fourth line. You just might not think that that's who you need to key on when you're on a team that has, Trey Fix-Wolansky and some of these other dynamic offensive weapons. But Hershey does not really seem to know how to handle these guys, And it's so fun to see them scrambling to figure out, but really all it is it's effort. It's compete level. It's being difficult to play against. I sound like Trent right now. I mean, those you can just clip that right out of. But those are
really any hockey coach. You sound like.
But those are the things that those guys bring, and those are the winning playoff values and tenets here. And so to watch those guys that are in the trenches really become the front running sort of sources for this team, I love it. It's just fun to watch, and so all the credit to those three. Good question, Chad. Thank you for asking that.
Tony, you've been around here for a while. You're about 10 years in to your career here with the Monsters. You've called the Calder Cup championship team with the Monsters, but you also experience history here with this Cleveland hockey, not just this franchise, but just Cleveland hockey in general. You work with Jock Calendar all the time, a guy that I grew up watching with the Cleveland Lumberjacks. My favorite hockey team of all time, by the way, is the Cleveland Lumberjacks. And it makes me sad that they're not still the Lumberjacks, but the Monsters is cool too.
It's been since 2007. All right. I'm just glad you guys are calling us the Cleveland Monsters. We could still get a lot of Lake Erie Monsters sometimes.
It's so much better as Cleveland. So much better as Cleveland. Just talk about kind of the history as you know it that you've been able to experience of Cleveland hockey, because a lot of us that love hockey from Cleveland, we try to tell everybody how great hockey is in Cleveland, and talk about what not just a win tomorrow, but another opportunity at a Calder Cup would mean for hockey in Cleveland.
So I remember when I got this job, I had just finished 1 year with the Indy Fuel, and the ECHL was their first season. And this opportunity came up when Doug Plagans went down to Florida. By the way, awesome to see Dougie in the Stanley Cup final.
That was going to be my next question.
Cool. We'll get there. But no, like I remember though, people would say to me, and I heard it in Indianapolis too. People would say, it's just not a hockey town. Cleveland's not a hockey town. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about that. It's not a hockey. That is such I think the reason people say that is because the old Barons in the NHL didn't last very long. And there were a few years there after the other Barons franchise that the San Jose Sharks were involved in after, there were some dark times, there were some dark days, and there were even years without hockey at all. But I quickly learned, very quickly, and it was from this, very large, very devoted fan base here led by the Cleveland Hockey Booster Club, an organization that's, going on pretty much a century, if I'm not mistaken, of supporting hockey in this town. It's just a total misnomer. There have been different organizations and different teams and different leagues, but there's always been hockey. You know what I mean? Throughout, the WHA with the Crusaders. I mean, that was like an iconic time in this town. And of course the Barons. And the other thing, it's not just there's been hockey, there's been championships. There's only one city with more of them than Cleveland, and that's Hershey. And so, they've got 12. City of Cleveland has 10. That championship year was my first with the Monsters, and now this is my 9th. And just anybody out there who has that perception of Cleveland, that this is not a total hotbed for hockey, I mean, they're not paying attention, and they're wrong. Youth hockey has grown leaps and bounds in this city, even since I've been here. And Cleveland is, in every sense of the word, one of the classic American hockey towns, if you ask me. And you asked about Jocko. Man, I love working with Jocko. We've gotten, awfully close over we sit together in the office. We spend so much time on the air. That relationship means a lot to me. And on the air, we have fun together. We have genuine chemistry, which every broadcaster always seeks in any broadcast partner. So Jocko's been amazing for me, and he's the legend. I mean, his numbers up in the rafters there, and I always love every year you get new young players into the organization. And Jock these days, part of his role is team services and sort of the organizational stuff, the logistics. And these players think of him like the logistics guy, and they don't realize exactly who he is. And so I love educating those guys every single year. Do you have any idea who you're just talking to?
Let me just show you a record book.
Yeah,
let me show you a record book.
Nobody had more points in that league's history than that guy. And, I remember once, I won't name the player, but I remember encouraging them to maybe look up in the rafters for just a moment there and see if you can put it together here. So Jocko's the greatest. We have so much fun. And to share these moments with him makes it so much more fun. I do a lot of games just on my own. The radio games and stuff. Jock's always been on for the telecast. Sometimes when he's on the road, he'll do road games with me. And Brad's been amazing too. I mean, that's a guy I knew as a player and now as a coach and now as a broadcast partner. It's amazing over the course of years how easy it is to sort of do this job with those two guys. But they add everything to my experience in getting to call these games. And I appreciate them to the extreme.
So now, for anybody who's never been to Hershey, Tony, you're essentially walking around in Wonka land, right? Like the lampposts are Hershey Kisses, from what I understand. Like, what, you just don't want to see chocolate again for quite a while after this, or?
So in the hotel, the shampoo, chocolate, the soap, chocolate. You go to the steakhouse. What sauce do you want? Chocolate. It's like
Do you get chocolate on your pillows?
There's a theme. Actually, no, I don't think so. But
Son of a bitch. I just pictured myself sadly drinking the shampoo.
No, my point here is there's a theme in this town, but it's it's also though like there's just no way around it. It is the classic American Hockey League organization. It is the classic American Hockey League fan base. And so it just means more. Even when you're in the regular season, when you're going there in October, November, the guys look around a little bit. I mean, it's worth considering all that has been accomplished in this place. And I've got nothing but respect for that. But it does make it a little bit sweeter when you find a way. When you find a way to sort of match that and find a way past that. It's satisfying but that's what you want to do. You want to be the best. You got to beat the best, not just in a year, but over the course of time. And so the Monsters, this is a dream matchup for them in the Eastern Conference Final. They only played Hershey in the playoffs once before, but remember Cleveland was in the Western Conference then, so it was the championship round. But to go up against this team in a conference final, if they can get past them and make AHL history in Game 7, geez, I wouldn't want to be the Coachella Valley Firebirds. I'll tell you that.
They might have traveled a little preemptively, Tony. They might have traveled a little preemptively. As Coachella made their way to Hershey a little preemptively. They might have a little bit of a flight back.
Oh, why is there no music here and people in funny outfits?
The optics of that, I agree, could be problematic. But if you think about it, they were in a little bit of a logistical non-win situation there. They were playing in Milwaukee. They didn't have home ice if they were going to be playing against Hershey. So what do? Do you want to fly? And let's be honest, too, there are realities in the American League about, travel and expenses and stuff like that. So if you want to fly all the way back home and then fly all the way across the country to Hershey, and then you're not acclimated to the time zone, they weren't in a position where there was really a great option. So, but I agree, from outside, it sure looks like they thought they'd be playing one team in the finals, but hey, we'll see what happens.
Tony, my very last question for you. Your predecessor with the Monsters, Doug Plagens, you brought him up before, the radio voice now of the Florida Panthers, who now have a 2-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup final over the Edmonton Oilers. Do you anticipate your predecessor to be calling a Stanley Cup victory for his Florida Panthers?
Well, I wish Doug nothing but the best. Doug is a great guy. Anyone who knows Doug knows he's a genuinely nice human being, and he's a great broadcaster. And he's been doing a great job down in Florida for a long time. let's not forget our former general manager, Bill Zito, the Monsters' former general manager, is the guy who has put together this team. So there's lots of ties down there. I wish those guys all the luck in the world. It's not going to be easy, even with the 2-0 lead going up to Edmonton. That country and that particular town has been waiting a long time for a crack at the Stanley Cup. So, but I wish those guys a lot of luck. And, we've had a lot of fun. I've never in person met Doug before.
Oh, really?
Because he was gone by the time I showed up.
Yeah, right.
And so, but I've talked to him, over the years. He's been nothing but gracious and a great guy. But we had a lot of fun at the early stages of my career with the Monsters. We had sort of a running joke, like a Seinfeld and Newman type thing, like all the fans were like, "Where's Doug? We miss Doug. We miss Doug," and so it was like, Plagans, so that was our little joke in the front office for a while. Like,
hello, Plagans.
Right, exactly. But no, Doug's world class, man, and if you follow him on Twitter, you get a peek inside the booth there too. He's posting these great videos of the great highlights and great moments and great calls, and wish them all the best of luck for sure.
Also, if you're a sports card collector, go ahead and follow.
Yes,
as well. But
the hobby, I believe they call it. Oops.
My last question for you, Tony, is it's going back to the chemistry of this team, and I'm trying to end on something fun. You might have something, you might not, and I understand some things got to stay locked in the vault. But I'm curious if you have any like fun stories or prank stories that just kind of show how the chemistry of this team. That I don't know, something fun that might happen.
Okay, definitely. Not going to go into the vault here, but one thing that I think is really cool and very Cleveland, and this comes straight from Trent, is the tradition in the playoffs here of when you win, you hand out the dog of the game. You guys have seen the dog pound mask that the guys, that's their sort of, game by game recognition piece. A lot of teams have one of those. Hershey has a bear's head. By the way, if you saw Jake Christensen's celebration after the OT winner, he did the Bears thing, which was chef's kiss on that one, Christy. That was awesome. In his first game back, you think he's not locked in. He's got it all worked out. But but that dog of the game thing has been really cool. And there have been a lot of great moments surrounding that. If you watch those great pieces from Jonathan, you'll see some of those moments. My favorite one was when the Monsters Jet wasn't going to be able to play in Game 3 of the North Division Finals, or didn't play, I should say. So Malcolm Subban, who was acquired at the trade deadline, a great veteran pro, just absolutely beloved teammate for all these guys. He stepped up and he won the Monsters that series. And the moment of recognition that you can watch in that game recap there with Trent and the rest of the team, thanking him and he's a newer guy to the team, but he just instantly fit right in, and you can see the appreciation in his face as a guy who's been grinding in pro hockey for a long time. That was a really special moment. So those dog of the game moments of recognition, one of my favorite things, and perfectly, how Cleveland is that, right, folks? As a big Browns fan, and just like everything else, he has hit the nail on the head.
Tony Brown, catch him tomorrow. Look at him. He's in his chocolate-covered hotel room in Hershey, PA, without chocolate on the pillow. Catch him tomorrow. You can catch him on WUAB. It's going to be on local TV in Cleveland. You can catch the game on WUAB. You can catch Tony calling it on the air, on the radio waves. Game 7 of the Calder Cup Semifinals, the Cleveland Monsters, the Hershey Bears. Cleveland trying to win the series after being down 3-0. There's nothing like Game 7 in all of sports. It doesn't matter the sport.
Nope.
But I'm going to tell you, I don't know that there's anything like a Game 7 where one team has clawed their way back from 3 games down in the series. Tony, man, your calls are amazing. You have brought such life to the broadcasts of these. Again, just go look at the Twitter calls of last night's game. Tony, you absolutely killed it, and I'm so excited to listen to what you have for us tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a Monsters winner, but man, we can't thank you enough for joining us here tonight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. And if you are watching on UAB, you will get me and Brad and Jock. We're doing the game. You can catch it on Fox Sports 1350, The Gambler, AHL TV as well. it's what you dream about, right? I know there's a lot of guys on this roster that have never played in a Game 7 before in their lives, and they now get the opportunity to make AHL history. Guys, don't miss out. Please be there, 7 o'clock.
Was it hard to get Jock to smile when you first met him? It was just real hard. It was real hard.
Well, but no, I don't know. I mean, Jocko's got a great sense of humor. You just got to kind of crack the outer shell. You know what I mean?
Nah, he just took one look at Chad and was like, nah, that's not for this guy. All right, well, Tony Brown, go get some rest, man. We love you. We appreciate you. And hey, bring home a winner to Cleveland. Let's play one more series, okay?
You guys are too kind. It was a blast. Thank you for having me.
Tony Brown, radio voice of the Monsters, who you'll catch on TV tomorrow as well. Game 7, do not freaking miss it. The Cleveland Monsters with a chance to move on to the Calder Cup Finals. And go follow Tony on Twitter, because Tony gives you the same kind of thing. He was talking about Doug Plagans giving you a little bit of an inside behind-the-scenes look at his calls with the Florida Panthers. Tony does the same thing. Go follow him online at Tony Brown PXP, like play-by-play, PXP. Follow him on Twitter. Boys, I'm so amped for this tomorrow night.
Is that one of the hardest play calling jobs
in
sports, is hockey play calling?
Yes.
I don't think there's anything even close.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything even close. I mean, they do and Tony's fantastic too. And all of them just do such a fantastic job at painting that picture. And it's just so fast moving and to say all the words.
Well, think of every other sport.
Youngstown. I did it for 2 years in Youngstown, and it was just. When I started, I had never called hockey before a day in my life, and those first 10, 11 games that I did have got to be some of the worst. I just burned the tape. I burned the tape. Got better though. But the pacing is just so tough to nail down.
Well, think of the other sports, right? Chad and I call football, but you get a break in between plays, and you can see who's on the field, who's not on the field. Football. In basketball, you just, especially NBA, you just know the guys. You just know the guys, and you can see them. You can just look and see their faces, and there they are. And baseball, obviously, is just slow. Hockey, even calling NHL games is incredibly difficult because you can't. First of all, you can't just eyeball who's out there.
You don't have front jersey numbers. You're
usually up in the rafters of an arena.
Right.
So you're going off of jersey numbers. So you're relying on this on an incredible amount of study, to be honest, to be able to just see a number and say that's who that is.
Right.
All the shifting lines.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And then pronunciations too. You're dealing with pronunciations. Sveshnikov to Ristolainen to Sveshnikov. Back to the Stojanovic. You're like, what the?
Dude, he brought up the Cleveland Barons, and all I could think about. I went to a ton of Cleveland Barons games, not the good Barons, who by the way folded because. And remember when we had Joe Tate on, he told us about the rat-infested arena that they had to play in. But I'm talking about the shitty Barons that were part of the Sharks organization. Right. Man, I remember going and watching. There were some guys that came out of that. Jonathan Chichu played in Cleveland for a minute. My favorite player was Hannes Huvinen. Nobody knew how to say his name. Good luck with that.
Sounds so easy when you don't read it.
Yeah. No, hey, listen, again, huge shout out, Tony Brown. Follow him on Twitter and make sure you are tuned in tomorrow night, Game 7, Calder Cup semifinals. The Cleveland Monsters at the Hershey Bears. Winner moves on to the Calder Cup Finals to beat the shit out of Coachella. I'm so excited for it. Make sure you're tuned in to that. So, listen, boys, let's move on. We're gonna have to do quick hitters almost the whole rest of the way here. Let's move on. Let's move on to our next segment. And our next segment of today's show is our asshole of the week, where we're just gonna call somebody out for being an asshole. And so I'll lead us off here, boys. My asshole of the week this week is, and this just came out today, it's Nathan's. Nathan's hot dogs.
Yeah.
It's Nathan's hot dogs. Nathan's hot dogs, because Joey Chestnut agreed to be like a spokesperson for a vegan hot dog sausage company. Nathan's told him that he can't participate in the 4th of July hot dog eating contest that he's won 742 times in a row. What are we talking about?
Right.
Stop.
Literally the only reason anybody watches your hot dog contest. Literally.
Hey, sorry, Michael Jordan, but you can't be in this year's NBA Finals because you went and played baseball.
Yeah, or like your brand, or you have like an Adidas partnership and you can't wear a Nike jersey.
I sincerely hope the rating, and I don't know what the ratings are anyways, because I think it's a stupid event, but it's fun.
It's in the morning though.
It's a stupid fun event that they put on ESPN of all things. I hope 7 people watch it. I hope nobody shows up. Like if I were Joey Chestnut, I would get Kobayashi and I would go across the street and the 2 of us would just eat like snow cones or something. And everybody would go watch that and nobody would. Nathan's is an asshole for this. Total asshole. Suck it, Nathan's. Yeah, you're a total idiot. So they're my asshole of the week. I don't care who won. Joe, you go next because Chad apparently has to find a new one.
No.
I got a preemptive asshole. I'll give you a second. I have a preemptive asshole, and I know it's preemptive, and I know it's going to happen because it's been happening the entire playoffs. But, and Chad, you'll appreciate this, the cam op for the Edmonton Oilers is an asshole. I've never had to like take Dramamine to watch a hockey game before. If you watch it, the dude is like this, zoom, zoom. And I was like, I can't. And I cannot believe they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's the only thing I was mad about Edmonton making it is because I had to watch a stupid guy for at least 2 games run cam op. I'm sorry, I'm sure he's a nice person, but like, dude, like no caffeine before the show.
No, sorry.
Can't do it.
That was really good. That was a really good one.
Okay. All right. Cool. I don't know. Mine is anybody who calls a hot dog a glizzy. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know where the fuck this has come from. And I just looked it up, and like Urban Dictionary says it's like it's slang for a Glock handgun. What are we doing here?
I like to swallow Glock handguns whole.
Oh God!
At the turn after I played my 9th hole of golf, I go get a glizzy.
That is so hot. Yeah, somehow a handgun evolves into a hot dog. Like it's dumb. Like I try not to be old man yelling at like get off my lawn guy, but what the fuck are we talking about when a hot dog's called a glizzy? It's stupid. It's dumb.
Have you seen all the glizzy challenges though?
Make it stop. Oh, you mean the hot dog challenges or the handgun challenges? Which one are we talking about here?
No, well, I don't know about the handgun challenges. That might be frowned upon a little today.
Yeah.
But like 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, 9 innings. You got 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, 9 holes.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's cool. 9 hot dogs. Yeah, I would totally do that. I have nothing against hot dogs.
No, it's 9 glizzies.
It's glizzies.
Shut your mouths when you're talking to me.
Hey, I had a side one, and we're going to talk about this because the Browns are in mini camp, and I want to talk about it for a minute. But my side asshole of the week, there's these couple accounts. All I can think about is Dov Kleiman, who like used to be kind of a breaking news NFL account, and now he's just turned in. So my secondary asshole of the week are these accounts on Twitter. Oh, God, Bandito, that's so good. He said you brought a glizzy to a gunfight.
Yeah. Whoa. Wait, I thought we were eating hot dogs. What are we doing here?
That's so good. These accounts like Dov on Twitter that like they'll show – they did it with Deshaun Watson today. They were like, Deshaun Watson is – and then all capital letters, cooking in training camp. And then they showed a video of Deshaun Watson – completing like a 4-yard out to Giovanni Ricci. Who the hell even is that still? Or it'll be like Aaron Rodgers is throwing darts. Yes. Aaron Rodgers is throwing darts in practice. And then they show it and there isn't even a defense out there. Like there's not even a defense. Who are these accounts? What is this shit? Like, do people like, are people eating this up? Are people like, oh my God, Deshaun Watson, it was a wobbly ball that he threw too. It like fluttered to Giovanni Ricci. Are people like soaking this up? Who's asking for these accounts? Who's asking for this?
Nobody at all. Nobody at all.
They're asking.
I almost did a bad thing from the show account on Twitter this week.
Oh no.
I'd have typed something out. Yeah, believe it or not. The Browns posted like the video of Deshaun like in his photo shoot when he was sitting on the bench, like looking all tough and stuff.
Ooh. Zip or no zip? Did he like zip to the bench or was there no zip to the bench?
No, he was sitting there. It was like for the media day, like
gotcha. Okay.
Stuff. And I literally had typed out, probably waiting for himself to be good finally. And I decided to delete it and then I was like, oh shit, this is the actual account.
Yeah, let's not. I mean, well,
you're going Browns. I thought you were going to go John Kelly Jr. in the celebrity softball game, getting the old lady out first.
Hold on. We'll get there. All right, let's do our quick hitters, and then I want to do our draft. So I don't want to go for 3 hours here. So quick hitters. Let's go back to hockey for a minute. The Stanley Cup Finals, the Florida Panthers, 2-0. They completely took care of business against Edmonton, including last night, where after a bit of a weird start to that game, Florida just dominated Edmonton, and you saw it in the shots on goal. Edmonton, I think, had like 8 shots on goal through 2 periods. I think they finished with like 12. They just were not putting the puck on the net. Florida was dominating them up and down the ice. Edmonton pulled their goalie with like 6 minutes left, to which Florida just immediately scored an empty netter like it was nothing. But we've seen sometimes the brilliance, guys, of that top line for Edmonton. We've seen some pretty good playmaking by their goaltender, but in the end, the depth of Edmonton just has not looked like it's been anywhere near able to keep up with the depth of the Florida Panthers. Boys, do you expect Edmonton to be able to rebound from a tough 0-2 start in Florida when things head back up north to Canada?
Only to implement the following strategy.
Okay.
Anytime Edmonton goes on the power play, as soon as you drop the puck, they should immediately slash the Florida Panthers so it goes 4-on-4. And just do 4-on-4 instead of power plays, because when they have the space, they look like a team that can actually like compete in this, but they just don't have the depth, man. I mean, I don't know. That's my suggestion. I don't know. I'm not really a coach, so I don't know how to get that up to the hierarchies here, but that would be my thought.
To be honest, Joe, you do make a little bit of a good point, but I just love the thought of like, and the puck drops and just take him out. Just take him out.
Or just do some egregious penalty that you've been meaning to do or something, a little high stick to the face.
Game 3 is just going to look like the beginning of Slapshot, like the beginning of a game of Slapshot, and it's going to be awesome.
Chad, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's they got to feed off that crowd. I mean, it's going to be an intense, crazy, insane atmosphere up there in Edmonton come Game 3. I think if there's a game to take to regain the momentum in this series, it's going to be Game 3. Because I'm telling you right now, if Florida is able to come away with a win in Game 3, it's going to be a sweep. I don't think it's going to be a long series at all. But yeah, if I'm Edmonton, I feed off that crowd because, I mean, you've played pretty well defensively for the most part. I mean, you've had some lapses, especially there in Game 2. But yeah, I mean, you played pretty well for the most part. You kind of used the same formula that you did in the Dallas series, and that was basically more defense and less shots. But in Game 2 there, so I think if they can do that, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Florida is just so physical. They just want to take you out in a back alley and beat the ever-loving shit out of you, and that's what they've been able to do with Edmonton these first 2 games. And Edmonton has just not been able to match the physicality. They've had their chances, but it's just, I don't know. They almost look shocked when Florida just punches them in the mouth, and it wears Edmonton down. It wears Edmonton down, and I don't know. I don't think it's going to be.
I love Chad. I love this. I love the stage that Connor McDavid is on. He is so good.
Yeah, he really is.
Every time Connor McDavid has the puck, he is moving 2.7 times faster than the next fastest guy on the ice. It is the most outrageous thing to watch. I think in today's hockey, I think he is just so head and shoulders above everybody else, and he's kind of taken on this kind of playmaking role, and he's not shooting the puck a ton, but God, he always gets it where it needs to be, and
right.
I'd be a little concerned. I'd be a little concerned if I was an Edmonton fan. Like, you got a great shot at it, but you have to put a team. You could have the greatest player in the world in hockey. You got to put a team around him. And they have put a pretty decent team around him, but you're seeing against a team like Florida. It's a much deeper team. It's a much more complete team, and they may not have the best player on the ice, but they probably have the next like 6 of 7 players on the ice, does Florida. And that's why they're able to kind of control everything about the tempo of this series.
Yeah. No, I mean, as long as Florida is doing what they're doing, and I mean, these first 2 games, they've just been playing their game. And as long as they're doing that, as long as the Edmonton Oilers cannot take Florida out of their rhythm, out of their game, if Florida is Florida might sweep them. Florida might sweep the Edmonton Oilers if McDavid and Draisaitl cannot get going. So it's as simple as that. Skinner has been playing very well, right? Skinner has been doing his job. The defense has been doing their job. They just those top 6 have got to get going for Edmonton. Otherwise, I don't see this series going long.
All right, quick hitter number 2. The NBA Finals have started the exact same way as the NHL Finals. The home team takes the first 2 games. The Boston Celtics take 2 from Dallas. Game 1, Boston just dominated. Dallas never had a shot in that game. Game 2, Dallas played pretty well until Boston just kind of put their foot down and dominated the Dallas Mavericks. Boys, this series is playing out. When we talked last week, Chad, the series is playing out a little bit the way that I thought it was going to play out, which is, yeah, Luka's going to get his, but man, when you're like Kyrie Irving and you've got to deal with Drew Holiday and you've got to deal with what's his face, the bad hairline. Why am I blanking? Derek
White.
Derek White. There it is.
Even I knew that. What's wrong?
No, my brain stopped working. But Derek White's literally verge of an all NBA defensive player. When you got to deal with those guys, and then you've got the playmaking ability of the Boston Celtics offensively. When it gets close, Boston just makes the plays to pull away. I don't know, even going back to Dallas. I think it's a gentleman's sweep. I think Boston's going to win it in 5. I cannot imagine a way that Dallas is going to come back into the series.
Yeah, I mean, whatever gets the basketball season over with quickly. That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
You're so dumb.
I hate Boston. They don't deserve any more championships for at least another 750 years.
Totally agree.
But I mean, they're going to win this series, whether it's in 5, 6, or 7. They're going to win this series. But Dallas just does not have enough firepower to be able to overcome this. Right, the role players. If the role players for Dallas don't start to step up, this is going to be a quick series, probably 5, like you said, Mike. And I think that one victory for Dallas is going to be with both Luka and Kyrie going off, because that's the only way. I think that's the only way Dallas wins a game.
Speaking of just random NBA things, very quickly, how about Dan Hurley rejecting the Lakers to stay at UConn?
Boss move.
That's awesome.
He $20 million a year less to stay at UConn, which is, he's still making a ton of money at UConn. But I think that says something about the LA Lakers. Obviously somebody's going to want to coach the Lakers, but the way that they are set up and situated, it's tough. That's tough.
I'm dating myself here, but to quote the great Yakov Smirnoff, in NBA, LeBron coaches you. So yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna leave it there. Hey, listen, we're gonna hit on NBA stuff as we go, because there's a lot of Cavs news to be had. They're still looking for a coach. We'll see how that goes, and then obviously Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen. We're gonna see what they decide to do. I do want to hit real quickly, boys. I don't have a lot to talk about with the Guardians, even though they won today against Cincinnati. It's the Battle of Ohio. They play them again tomorrow. The Guardians still red hot. Jose Ramirez still one of the best players in baseball, leading the league in RBIs. The Guardians still, I think, number 3 in baseball in wins. But I do have 2 things I want to talk about with the Browns before we get to our last segment. So the Cleveland Browns start minicamp, and Amari Cooper is not there. And the world loses its collective mind, because even Kevin Stefanski comes out in his press conference and says it's an inexcused absence. He's expected to be there. This is mandatory minicamp now for the Cleveland Browns. And Amari Cooper is entering the last season of his contract, and he wants an extension. And so he is making his voice heard that he wants an extension. He doesn't show up, boys. Does this warrant a little bit of a freak out, or do you feel like maybe settle down a little bit? This is the normal part of an NFL negotiation.
It's what it is now.
If this continues into like late July, early August, then I'll start to worry. Right now, I don't give any sort of shit.
Nope, I agree.
I'll be interested to see as the days go on, because it wouldn't surprise me if he showed up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It wouldn't, because you actually see that, I think, kind of every year where a guy is in a contract year and he wants a new contract, he wants an extension, and he'll just make a little bit of a point at the very beginning of minicamp saying, I'm not going to show up today. And it lights the media world on fire, especially Amari Cooper, who is not,
he's not that guy.
Well, they just have so many of those guys, right? Like, it's like Nick Chubb is not going to be that guy. Amari Cooper is not that guy. But it's kind of like that one day. It wouldn't surprise me if he was at camp tomorrow. Like, he made his point that he wants the extension, and obviously they're having conversations. Our own Brad Stainbrook here with the OBR has reported that Cleveland knows what Amari's looking for, and the two sides have been in touch. But man, the world lost its mind today when they saw Amari wasn't there, and I thought, it's overreaction city. It's overreaction city.
Yeah. Good for Amari. It's only good for Amari that it's overreaction city.
Right.
Yeah. The only other thing I want to talk about with the Browns, Chad, and this is all you, buddy.
Why?
You went to the David Njoku softball extravaganza.
Sure did.
Over there at Classic Park. Yeah. You were there. You saw whatever the hell it is that you watched.
Everybody.
So, man, tell us about it, because there's some fun stories that came out of that. For example, John Kelly. Should we love him or hate him?
Love him. That was awesome. I laughed my ass off when he did that. Right? You had no idea what he was going to do, but I love the fact that he got her out. He was like, "Yeah, come on, Granny. Nope, get out of here." No, that was my favorite part of the game. I mean, the game itself was like meh. Right, it was just meh, whatever.
It's a softball game,
yeah. I mean, it was like watching Rock and Jock without like the 20-run grand slam thing, right? But it was cool. But yeah, I mean, the most fortunate part about it for me was my brother-in-law, and I got really lucky to do this. My brother-in-law prints the jerseys. My brother-in-law owns a print shop called Jack Prints. No free ads. And he prints the jerseys for this event every year, whether it's Greg Newsome, whether it's David Njoku, Jarvis Landry, whatever. So we get to go on the field after the game. And today, this year was the first year I went, so I got to meet a whole lot of people. Got to meet, Denzel Ward. I got to meet, Josh Cribbs. I got to meet Johnny Gargano. I got to meet his wife, Candice LeRae. I didn't get to meet Travis Kelce though. He was gone. He was out of goodbye.
He didn't want to get the so you signed with the Browns talks?
Goodbye. Yeah, goodbye. Yeah. I mean,
what position did Taylor Swift play?
She played Suite 215, I think. I'm dating myself here a little bit too, though, because I know I'm getting old, boys, because there were about 7 to 15 people there that I just had no.
Oh, I know. I looked at the roster and I was like. I looked at the roster. I was like, I don't know who the hell that is. I
thought Granny Smith was like, really? The Granny Smith Apple lady is still alive? Like, I had no idea. I had no clue. But I got a picture with her, so at least I got that going for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Jordan Akins is my daughter's new favorite player now, because he was super nice to her and like signed her shirt. Like, he shook my hand. I was like, "She looks just like you." I was like, "Don't say that. I don't want my daughter looking like me."
You piece of shit.
It's not good. You asshole.
So Chad fought Jordan Akins.
Yeah. And then, everybody was, I mean, I know Mary Kay came out with a story about Deshaun Watson getting upended by Mitchell Payton. Mitchell Payton? I don't know. He's going to be bagging groceries in like 3 weeks.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, but as simple as that, it was a pop fly in the infield and nobody called it, and Deshaun just ran right into Mitchell Payton's head and flipped over him, but he was okay. Everybody was okay. I actually joked around with him afterwards, with Deshaun afterwards. I gave him a fist bump, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm okay." I'm like, "Okay, or good, all right, bye." And then
as he ran past Chad, I'm okay.
But that was my favorite part. The game left a little. It was a little left to be desired because, it was the game itself was one of those things. I'm glad I went to once, but like I probably would never go to again. But being on the field afterwards, meeting everybody was cool as shit. Shit. So I might go again next year.
Well, obviously, Browns news forthcoming because they're going to have to figure the situation out with Amari Cooper, which, again, let's not make this a panic situation, everybody. Amari Cooper is not sitting out or for an extended period of time. He's just negotiating. Let's not go crazy. But man, we're getting to that point. It's June 11th. Mini camp's happening. And before you know it, we're going to be talking about Browns training camp. So we'll continue to talk more and more about it. So, boys, I wanted to finish our episode tonight with something we haven't done in a while because, frankly, we just keep doing what we did tonight and having great episodes and running right to the end. But I wanted to play a little game. I want to do a draft. And I want to do a 5-round draft. And I was sitting here looking out my window. Look at my window over here. And I was looking at the the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, which is by far the worst of the major Hall of Fames. It's like out here in like a strip mall. It's in like a strip mall right across the highway here in Springfield. They need to put a little money into this.
No, right?
But I thought, let's do like a sports. I don't know if I'm going to call it a Hall of Fame or like a Rushmore or whatever, but I know we've done an athlete Rushmore draft. Let's do a sports kind of Hall of Fame draft. And so I created 5 categories. You got to pick one from each category. It doesn't matter what order you go in. The order of the draft today is Chad, me, Joe, and then we're going to snake it. And here are your categories, boys. And I threw one in there at the end. I don't know if you saw it in the note or not.
Is this our personal, like what we believe to be?
Yeah.
The right answer here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's what Joe Schmo believes the answer is. What are you talking about?
Let's go back to like the synthetic gin thing. Like just
here are the 5 categories. And this is from all sports. This is from all American sports. And this could be college or pro. So this is everything here in the U.S., and you can even include Canada if you want to. Here are the 5 categories. Best stadium. Any sport, pro or college. Best fan base. Any sport, pro or college.
Sport or city?
Or city. It could be city.
All right.
Best trophy. City or college. Okay. But you can't just say like Cleveland fans are the best. You got to pick a team in Cleveland.
Right.
Best trophy in sports. Best trophy. Best coach in any sport of all time. And then when I texted you guys earlier, I had best player, but we've already done that a lot, and it's going to be the same 3 guys. So instead, I made up a new category, and you guys are going to have to think about this a little bit. Best wingman. And what I mean by that is the second best player on a team of all time. Not the best player, but the second best player on a team of all time. And we could do a whole ass draft on that.
Yeah, you really could. That goes deep.
So you can pick your order accordingly, but Chad, you've got the number 1 pick.
Well, I was going to do best trophy for my, but I've got to take my best wingman right off the gate. I got to take Scottie Pippen. I've got to take Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's number 1, numero uno. There was no better wingman, I don't think, in the history of sports. Maybe there was. There probably was. There probably is a bunch of other ones. But Scottie Pippen is certainly, I mean, in the top 3 all-time best wingman of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, I mean, obviously, I think he would have won championships without him, but Pippen elevated everything about that Bulls team without Jordan. I mean, and even when Jordan left for gambling or whatever, still questionable why he left. Even with Jordan gone, I think the Bulls still won like 50-something games with him at the helm. So yeah, Pippen, best wingman of all time.
Did you say Pippen? Did you say Pippen?
Pippen, the musical Pippen.
Dude, when I thought of this category, I only thought about it at maybe like 6:00 this evening. I got really excited about it. It's a great discussion, and I think we should do it again later. But obviously, nobody can disagree with you, Scottie Pippen. I mean, he's what you think about.
Yeah.
When you think about a wingman, when you think about a second best player, you think about Scottie Pippen.
Right.
So that'll bring it to me, and I'm going to take the chalk. I'm going to take the chalk because far and away the best trophy in sports is Lord Stanley's Cup.
Yep.
Lord Stanley's Cup. There's a lot of trophies. There's a lot of trophies out there to be won. But there is nothing, even just, I don't care whether you don't have a team in the race. When a team wins the Stanley Cup, there is nothing like watching that celebration on the ice of the guys all lifting the cup over their head and skating around on the ice. And you know how great that celebration is, because when a team wins on the opposing team's ice, everybody stays in the stands to watch the cup presentation. The Stanley Cup is far and away the best trophy in sports, and I'm very glad to have it on my team.
Yeah.
Damn, who picked this order?
That's what I was going for sure.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's like I don't even need to do trophy till last because it literally doesn't even matter past that.
Joe, you get to go back to back here, buddy.
Oh boy, well, I got to take fan base, and we're going to be very homer with this, but we're going to go Cleveland fan base.
No, you have to pick a team.
No, I clarified that before we started. I said, can it be a city?
And I said, no, you can't take Cleveland. You have to pick a team. I said that.
Oh, well.
You shithead. No, it has to be specific to a team.
Any individual one, because they all kind of suck in their own way, but together as a unit, they're great.
No, you have to pick a team's fan base. I said it.
I know.
He said it. Toad said it.
Toad said, all right, fine. All right, then here comes the 2 most underwhelming picks you've ever heard in your life. For the trophy, because we're just gonna get that one out of the way.
Jesus Christ. You're picking that now?
Oh, I'm picking it now, yeah. Because I can go dates on the other ones. Trophy. Give me the best part is I don't know the name of it, but give me that glass ball they used to give out in college football.
Oh,
ooh,
that glass crystal ball for the championship. They changed it to this weird little like horse's hoof horseshoe thing now. That's like ugly.
Yeah.
That old one though.
The crystal
football. The crystal football is. And all this is aside from the Stanley Cup is the coolest looking trophy in all of sports.
Joe, I actually think that is an incredible pick.
Thank you.
I didn't see that coming because, to be honest with you, I didn't think about like past trophies, but that crystal football trophy, spectacular. I think that's a great pick. I think it's a great pick.
Thank you. As soon as I heard I was picking third, I was like, well, I'm not going to get the Stanley Cup. All right. Next, I don't know. Man, I really was prepared for those other 2 options.
I'll take NFL football fans.
No,
idiot.
No, it was a city. It was a whole city thing.
No.
Give me the Buckeyes fan base. I don't know.
What the fuck is that, Joey? What the fuck is that? Are you trying to lose this?
He was I don't want to pick any other team.
He was just like, I mean, I don't know. Let's do the Southeast Louisiana State Raging Cajun fan base. Like you're just,
yeah. I'm just gonna lock that one in, and I'll rebound next time around.
Like they just sounded like you were like this man. Whatever.
You better rebound. That was wild. That was a wild situation that I just saw there. That was a wild situation.
Sure was.
I probably don't need to do this right now, but I think I'm going to. And I just don't
worry about me taking your pick.
I was just gonna say I don't want Joey to like Google something. I'm gonna go with Wingman. I'm gonna go with Wingman, and I'm gonna go with Mark Messier. I'm gonna go with Mark Messier on the Edmonton Oilers when they were winning titles. Wayne Gretzky was the face of the Edmonton Oilers, but Mark Messier, who then went on to be the face of other franchises, including an Oilers team that won a cup after Wayne Gretzky left. But Mark Messier, I think, is the NHL's version, in my opinion, the NHL's version of Scottie Pippen. I think he's the single best, second best player on a team. And the only difference between Messier and Pippen is that Messier went on to be the best player on other teams. But during that part of his career, when he was teamed up with Wayne Gretzky, I don't know that the NHL has ever seen anybody better as a wingman than Mark Messier. So I'm picking Messier.
Nice, Mike. Nice.
I'm really excited to have that pick. Joey could have Googled that.
You don't look like you're excited.
I got my wingman. I just forgot what it was, and now I remembered.
Well, now you don't have to take him until the 5th round.
I honestly.
All right, Chad, back-to-back picks.
All right, I'm going to go best fan base here. And this is going to be unconventional, and like you two were never going to pick this, but I just love this fan base so much that I think they deserve to be talked about in the top fan bases out there, and that's the Grand Canyon University Havocs. Yeah. If you've never like Google them, go YouTube them, go Google the GCU Havocs. I'm not kidding.
I'm
in. Not kidding. It is the best. The best fan base in all of Division I college sports. I'm not even kidding. Go Google them. They're great.
Shit.
They're into it every game. They deserve it. They deserve to be talked about.
Yeah, totally. GCU, baby. GCU.
Go Google it. Go YouTube it right now.
What do I look like, a Googleizer?
Yeah, you're drunk on terrible beer. But
pick your next pick, idiot.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the best stadium. And the best stadium I've ever been in, the best stadium I've worked in is a night game in Death Valley at LSU. That was unbelievable, incredible. I mean, I know what stadium Mike's going to pick, but
I'm not.
Oh, really? Okay. But yeah, that's the best stadium I've ever been in.
You don't know me.
The atmosphere was just incredible. I mean, I have a bunch of honorable mentions from stuff from places I've worked, but LSU at night is just unlike anything else.
God, man, you guys both picked your fan base, so I don't need to do that until the end.
Yeah.
I got trophy. Man, I'm okay. I feel like I want to go best coach. And I don't know whether I want to go chalk, because I think there's a chalk best coach. I think there's just a chalk ass best coach.
What are your parameters? Just championships?
No, it's anything. It doesn't have to be. It could be a guy that won one championship, but like turned around a franchise that was miserable, and all of a sudden they hired this guy and he brought him in. But in my opinion, I'm going to go best coach. And I think there's a lot of things that go into a guy being the best coach, like the talent on the team and the stability of the organization. All that contributes to a best coach. But in my head, there's one guy that took a franchise that sucked and turned them into a powerhouse, and B, won a shit ton of championships. And so I can't say anything but Bill Belichick. I can't. The New England Patriots were an abject disaster before Bill Belichick. The New England Patriots sucked ass. They never won anything. They would get excited like kind of the Browns, like, oh, they won 8 games. Oh, yeah, we're excited. And then Belichick got there, and obviously it gets paired with Tom Brady, and it gets paired with an incredible roster, but he oversaw just the turnaround of a franchise and then a dynasty. And so I don't know how you go with anybody other than Bill Belichick. So I'm taking it.
All right, Joey.
Oh God, look at the shit-eating grin on his face.
What a segue. I'm going to go with my wingman, a controversial wingman, some might say.
Ooh.
But give me Bill Belichick of the Patriots as my wingman to Tom Brady, because when Tom Brady left, that organization was just a shitting bunch of schmuck for 6 years. Absolutely.
No.
There was a handoff. There's a baton handoff.
No, a wingman is a player. A wingman is a player, you dipshit.
No. Two people like
he found a loophole. He circumvented the loser system. He circumvented the system.
Yeah, will you allow it?
I'm vetoing.
I'll allow it. All
right, 2-1. 2-1. Ties have it. Bill Belichick back-to-back.
Oh God.
Fuck you, Joey. That's the dumb. Were you so stupid?
I did have that one, but I was gonna do it last, and now I didn't have to. Man, can't wait for these results.
You are so stupid.
Yeah, I got to go baseball on my stadium arena though. I just think iconic is like the definition of Fenway Park, and I think that is just one of the most. I love that stadium is still intact. I dream of going to a game there. I think that would be incredible. It's so historic for the game of baseball. I'm sure Bill Belichick has been to a couple of games there as well. And that's my stadium / arena.
You are such a shithead.
Son of a bitch.
You are such a shithead.
I am following the guidelines of what I was given.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Number 2 to Tom Brady.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Listen, I am gonna do what Joey tried.
The best coach is LeBron James because he's really a coach on the floor.
I'm going to do what Joey tried to do at the beginning of this draft and then failed miserably at. But the best fan base in all of sports is the Cleveland Browns. And I will not hear anything else. And frankly, to be honest with you, I don't feel like that's even a homer take. No, shibbity-doo. There is no fan base that has
scat. I don't get it. Why did you start scatting?
Because Joey started talking, and I have got an explanation. You can shut your mouth until I'm done.
Let's hear this one.
There is no fan base that has supported a team through any worse scenario. The Browns have continuously given the fan base the worst scenario, and it started with the team moving away, and it never got better until recent years. And no fan base has supported a team like the Cleveland Browns fan base has supported their team. So to me, it's easy. The loyalty that you have to display to be a Browns fan and the nut punches that you're willing to just sustain, just nut punch after nut punch after nut punch. And you just sustain it and you just take it and you're like, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow for my kick to the dick. And it just happens all the time. And we just keep coming back. Nobody's more loyal than Browns fans. Nobody is better than the Cleveland Browns fan base. So that I'm taking that all day, every day.
All right.
I'll allow it.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess I'll allow it.
Allowed.
I guess I'll allow it.
All right, Chad, real quick, just because we're coming up on the final round here, although, Chad, you have to finish off the fourth round. But, Chad, you've taken your wingman and Scottie Pippen. You took your fan base as Grand Canyon University.
Go YouTube it. Go YouTube it. It's the best fan base out there.
You took the best stadium as Death Valley, LSU, Death Valley. So you've got to pick best coach and best trophy.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go with best trophy. Obviously, I saved this for last since you guys did your trophies. I mean, if there's a trophy that's second best to the Stanley Cup, it's the Lombardi. It's the Lombardi trophy. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's a bunch of other great trophies out there, but I just think that the Lombardi is second to only to the Stanley Cup. The other one, I'm going to go best coach, and
well, you have to. You don't have a choice.
This man. That's true. You're not wrong. The best, and this man, the legacy he left on his players, the lessons he taught his players. I mean, they clearly lasted their entire lifetimes. He's still talked about today, and it's a man who won. It's a man who inspired his players, and he won 10 national championships in a 12-year period. I'm talking about John Wooden. John Wooden, the best coach of all time, hands down. He's a guy that's just still talked about today. I mean, he could easily have been forgotten about, but the legacy he's left and the lessons are still taught to other players, to even today's generation. So that's how you've left a lasting legacy, is when the lessons from a coach to 50, 60 years ago are still being taught to this generation.
No argument there. That's a great pick. My last pick, and I've got to go with the stadium. And I'll be honest with you guys. I think I don't know how you, Joe. I think you nailed it with Fenway Park. I think that's a great pick. But I think the one area that college football just dominates more than anywhere else is just the best stadium atmospheres in all of sports, in all of sports, the best stadium atmospheres. Actually, it's been a thing. It's popped up on my TikTok algorithm where I'm now getting British soccer fans that are watching videos of college football atmospheres, and they're just losing their minds. They're just losing their minds because I think we think of British football atmospheres being crazy, and they look at that and they're like, holy shit, it's nothing like this. So I'm going to go with in my opinion, the most iconic college football stadium, and I'm going to go with the Rose Bowl, boys. Nestled in the mountains down there in Pasadena. Do I think it has the best atmosphere? Certainly not when UCLA is playing home games there, but the Rose Bowl is the most iconic game in college football history, and the setting of the Rose Bowl. And you can just hear Brent Musburger's voice. You are looking live, and you can just hear it every time you think of the Rose Bowl. In my opinion, the Rose Bowl is the best American sports venue that there is, and so I'm taking that to wrap up my draft. Joey, you have got one pick left, and you got to pick a coach. And even though you've already picked Bill Belichick, you stupid asshole, you get to pick a coach to wrap things up.
I still technically can't pick him because you chose him, right?
Mm-hmm.
God damn. Man. Let's see.
He just has to pick a coach.
Coach, man. But it's so much pressure to pick the best coach because I don't know. My standards aren't that high.
Kevin Stefanski, baby. Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah. Honestly, though, he turned a shit team around.
Two-time NFL Coach of the Year.
Just go iconic coach, and we'll just go Joe Paterno on this one. I don't know.
Wow. Wow. Does he Wait, does he bring Jerry Sandusky with him, or
How did do on the draft?
You could have been like Bill Parcells, Urban Meyer. You and Joe Paterno. That's so random.
I think Urban Meyer.
It's so random.
Joe, I think we have to just eliminate your draft. I think we just have to eliminate your draft.
Bill Parcells.
Obviously, the most iconic college coach you can think of is Joe Paterno, not Nick Saban.
I think Joe, I think we have to just eliminate your draft. I think your draft just gets crossed off the list.
Rejected. You keep the college football trophy thing on there too.
Oh God!
Oh, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. It's the best night of my life.
This is hold on. What could have been a better pick for Joe? Well, Bandito says I take Hugh Jackson.
He's iconic.
God. I'm driving the bus. This is my ship. I'm the captain now.
I wasn't intending to turn into a sabotage, and then I felt like after the first round, it just kind of felt right to keep going with
the
that.
clear choice was Joe Paterno.
Well, let's real quick. Let's run through what the fuck that was, and then we're getting out of here. Chad, you took the wingman #1 overall, Scottie Pippen. You took Grand Canyon University, which apparently we all have to YouTube, which means you lost that pick.
No.
Death Valley, your college football or your stadium in general, but from LSU, Death Valley, the Lombardi Trophy, and John Wooden as your coach. I took the Stanley Cup. I took Mark Messier as my wingman. I took Bill Belichick as my coach. I took the Cleveland Browns fan base, and I took the Rose Bowl as my stadium. And then Joey was here. I think that's he took the Crystal Football Trophy from the old NCAA championships, which was a great pick. The Buckeye fan base, because he didn't know what the fuck else to do. He took Bill Belichick as his wingman, which is super good at sports. You know what you should have done there, Joe? You should have just leaned into the fact that you think Talladega Nights is the best sports movie of all time, and you should have taken John C. Reilly's character as your wingman. That's what you should have done there. You took Fenway Park, which was a great pick because it is the most iconic baseball stadium. And then you decided to wrap things up with Joe Paterno. So that's our Sports Hall of Fame Rushmore draft. Oh God. That was great.
Iconic. I just said Joe Paterno.
Just iconic. Joe Paterno. Just nailed it. All right, that's going to do it. Episode 216 is in the books. The last thing we got to do here tonight, we got two last things to do. Before we get out of here, I don't know how we even bounce back from this, but we have got to do our 3 cheers of the week. Our 3 cheers of the week are the exact opposite of the asshole of the week, where we just got to talk about somebody who is awesome, something that's great, something good that's happened this week. So, Joe, I'm going to let you just make up for Joe Paterno here for a minute, and I'm going to let you lead us off with your cheer of the week.
NHL did the first ever ASL broadcast for a Stanley Cup final game.
Oh, that's a great one. That's so good.
Very cool.
That was really cool.
Super inclusive, and you don't have to read subtitles the whole time, because I don't know how you can watch this hockey game and even digest what's going on with subtitles when you could just view ASL at the same time. I don't know. I think it's very cool. And I don't know if any other major sport has done that before.
What do you think Joe Paterno would think about it?
Probably nothing. He probably wouldn't think much of that, to be honest.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
I give myself my cheer.
I think that is a great cheer. That's a great cheer. And that broadcast was awesome. Awesome. I'm going to be a total homer with my cheer of the week. But my cheer is going to go to the Texas A&M baseball team, because I don't know if you saw what happened. I don't know that I've ever – I don't know. Maybe Joe and Chad, you can tell me something that's happened kind of like it. But Texas A&M punched their ticket to Omaha. Was it last night or 2 nights ago? I can't remember. But they were playing Oregon in the Super Regional that Texas A&M hosted. Oregon was winning the game 8-4 in the 7th inning. Texas A&M comes up to bat, and Texas A&M scores 9 runs in the 7th inning. But hear me out. The first 5 runs that they scored, Oregon walked in. They walked in 5 runs. They were winning by 4, and they walked in 5 runs. They hit a batter, and they walked 4 others to walk in 5 runs. And then A&M's next batter, who is Jeff Kent's son, the legendary second baseman, former Cleveland Indian Jeff Kent, steps up and hits a grand slam. And in 1 inning, A&M scores 9 runs and they win that game. I've never seen an inning like it, so I'm giving them a cheers. That was awesome. That was awesome. I don't know that it's really well earned because when you're just the other team just isn't throwing strikes, that's great. But it was maybe the wildest inning in baseball I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm giving them a shout out.
Nice. All right. I got
that's your cue, Chad.
Yeah. Oh, well, you didn't say me. All right. You're
Chad Meyer. Chad Meyer. You're up next. Chad Meyer.
Super. Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I'm going to 2 cheers. I'm going to cheer the Monsters. Just for, making just a historic comeback. It's a tall task to come back from down 3-0 and to force the game 7. That was amazing. And the other cheers is to the city of Cleveland for whoever planned the weekends, because SummerSlam weekend for WWE is going to be the busiest fucking weekend, I think, in downtown Cleveland seen in a long time. A long time. There's a home guards game. There's SummerSlam going on at Brown Stadium, and Martin Lawrence is doing stand-up at the arena the exact same night. There's going to be like 11 billion people in downtown Cleveland.
And especially that's going to be 3 very different groups of people.
Yeah.
And so they're all coming down.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
When is it?
August 3rd. Yeah.
It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. All right. Those are our cheers of the week. Hopefully you guys have got some good cheers. Let us know. Get over to our socials and let us know, and we will shout those out. But that is going to do it for episode 216. Our last order of business, as always, are our thank yous. Our first thank you goes out to Tony Brown, the play-by-play voice of the Cleveland Monsters. He hung out with us for damn near an hour talking about this incredible run that the Cleveland Monsters are on, and you're going to be able to hear his voice. And really, he is so good at what he does. He's the next guy that's going to be a voice of an NHL team. He is so good at what he does, and you're going to be able to hear him whether you're watching on TV, on WUAB in Cleveland, or on the radio, or on AHLplayoffs.com. You're going to be able to check out Tony Brown calling all the action for Game 7 tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Monsters, Hershey Bears. Can the Monsters complete the comeback? We're going to find out, and you're going to be able to hear Tony's voice. So shout out to Tony for coming on with us. Our next shout out goes out to the OBR. Again, we're here in minicamp. We're bringing on some really exciting new people into the OBR, which we kind of announced internally today. And I don't know when they're going to announce that externally, so I don't want to say it. But some new people coming on with the OBR that are great. And the OBR is the best place to get Browns coverage. So make sure you are tuned in to everything the OBR is doing. And our last and final thank you goes out to you. We had over 1,000 people in here tonight hanging out with us. So whether you joined us live here tonight, or whether you're going to catch us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, or you're just going to watch us on YouTube or Twitch later, we love you. We appreciate you. And we thank you for coming on and joining us live here tonight, or joining us later. We love the fact that you're part of the Garage Beers family. That's going to do it for episode 216. For Joey down there in Nashville, Tennessee at Garage Beers Joe, for Chad Meyer on the east side of Cleveland at Garage Beers Chad. I am Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike. Make sure you go follow the show at The Garage Beers on all the socials. And until next week for episode 217 with another great special guest that you'll want to stay tuned for. We love you. We appreciate you. And cheers, everybody.